Hello, welcome to Make Money from Coding, my new channel. My name is Patrick Farrell and I want to help you make more money from coding online. I built a platform called MakeMoneyFromCoding.com, and this is a platform that you can use to actually create a beautiful software engineering career for yourself. And I want to make this channel as a place for you to find more information about how to make more money from coding. This is going to be a series. I actually am a coach, I am a software developer, and I talk about other topics, but this particular series is all about make money from coding, and I'm going to show you how I'm actually using Claude Code as well as potentially Cursor to develop this platform. So let's get into it. On the last video we talked about how we are developing this new blog feature, and honestly it is pretty impressive what has been created already. We were able to build a blog feature. This is actually the edit blog section, but what I want to dive into is these little things that I'm seeing that are not perfect. So you see right here, like there's no bullet points. This ended up having an issue with the styling, so clearly we can't see the text that's there. So there's a few things that we need to really dial in before we're able to release this into the production build. And I'll do a whole video on how to actually get this to production, but let's dive into this right now first. So what we want to do first is we want to go back and see, okay, this is the HTML document that was the creation of this particular page. So what I'm going to look for is I'm going to actually screenshot this section, which is one of the first things I want to fix, is there's no bullet points here for this section. So we're going to do a screenshot here, and we're going to paste that into the Claude Code terminal, and then we're going to go and we're going to say, okay, we're going to find that section. So we say let Claude architect. So we're going to look for that in this markdown document. Okay, so this is the code that was supposed to create that space, and we can see that there are little dashes, but there's no bullet points in the rendered code here. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back and say when the blog post renders this data, I want to see bullet points. Please fix this render. Okay, and then we're going to copy the stuff that was supposed to render that bullet point. This is the markdown that generated that section, and we're going to paste that in. So what we're doing here is we're giving it an image of what was actually generated, which is this, so we can see, okay, this is what it created, and this is the code that was, the code created this view. This is the back end of what data actually created this view. So the logic in the middle is slightly off, right? It did render it, but it didn't give us the full thing. Now, Claude Code is actually working in the background and see, it made these code changes just a second ago, and because of the debugging feature, it actually did it in real time. So you can see that actually just got updated, and it looks much, much better. And you can see, okay, now these actually have bullet points here, and this is looking a lot better already. So let's look at anything else we want to tweak before we make this go live. Everything here looks pretty good. This is the next thing. So on this section, we're going to say, we're going to put this in here, and okay, I'm unable to see the text for this particular piece. So we're going to go back and we're going to say install Claude Code. So this clearly is the code that was generating that. So we're going to say now fix this section because the rendered text is not readable. So it's now going to find this section, and it's going to ideally fix this so that we can actually see this text and make this better. I'm not loving this little thing right here. Let's see. Let's see. It still didn't do it perfectly, so we have to give it more context. So we're going to put this back in and say it kind of remembers what it just did, so I don't necessarily have to like copy that again, but I'm going to say it's still not showing the correct text color. It's unreadable. Please fix this so we can read it. I'm guessing since the background is black, it should have a lighter text color. So let's give it that. I didn't want to tell it white because it might be better if it wasn't just white. So let's see. It says, you're right, the text is still too dark. Let me make it brighter so it's more readable on the black background. So it's now getting clearer. And let's see. This one is okay. What it's doing is it's adjusting this one and it's not adjusting this one. So you're not targeting, there's something, let's see, so you are still not targeting the right text. It's what was generated by this code here. So basically it's targeting this one here, and I really wanted to target this one. And let's see if we can find it. I see the issue. The problem is that the comment lines are being rendered. Okay, so it needs to find the particular one for that. And I think it just did it. Okay, that's better. I still don't love the styling of this. So let's, much better, say much better, but the styling seems a little flat. Can we adjust this? Now, other blogs and things like that actually have these sections. So let me see if I can go Stripe Docs. I'm gonna go look for like an example of this somewhere else. And not bad. Let's see. Okay, so we're gonna go back here and okay, so what we're gonna do is we're going to can you make the styling a little bit more so we're going to make the styling a little more similar to this, to be a little more similar to image 2. So I'm trying to get it to like make it a little bit more interesting. It's not bad, but it's a little bit flat in my opinion. So that's the only other thing. This looks pretty good. Let's see if there's anything else that we want to target. This looks good. What does the end of this look like? That's fine. And everything else looks pretty good, quite honestly. So I want to look at where this is coming from because that's kind of not the best. Okay, so it's grabbing this from the head section. What is vibe coding in? getting started with vibe coding, building software at the speed of thought. All right, so this is looking, I think this is grabbing from, yeah, so it's grabbing from this external, and there's a little too much space here. So what I want to do is, at the top of the blog, can you reduce the white space below the box here? So this particular box is not generated from the markdown. This particular box, I told it I wanted like a little excerpt. I guess this is optional, which is actually really nice, because if I don't do anything here, I'm guessing that this won't appear. But let's try to remove the white space. So let's see if it can reduce the white space that's here. And the only other thing is this image is really big here. But I'm not sure I want to change that. Honestly, like, it's pretty good for now, and maybe I'll find some examples later where I can give it. And let's go back and just like see the blog post. This looks really nice. Like, I'm very, very happy with this. We now have the blog feature. We can do that. While we're here, let's do one more. So we're going back to Claude. I'm going to say, okay, so we're going to go back here. We built this blog post in here. Let's do one more post in the same way, where we talk about the infrastructure to build your app. It's not just about vibe coding your way to software that works. You also have to work on what cloud provider are you deploying on how do you back up the database, and how do you manage security, also things like backups and security credentials. So what I'm trying to do here is write another blog post so I can test this, because our feature right now is all of the blog posts are generated by this markdown document. In the future, I might create an interface for them to create this themselves. But this is really nice for now because it's simple. It's easy for the backend database to store these markdown files because they're just flat files, and then it renders from this markdown syntax over to the live stuff. So the other thing I want to worry about is this OG image. I want to make sure that if this image is specified here, the OG image defaults to this image. I don't want to have to upload another one, so we're going to actually ask Claude about that. So let's go back to the thing. It looks like it did reduce the space. I would have had it reduce a little bit more, but I'm okay with it for now. Let's actually remove this and see if we update this, what happens to the rendered blog post. And this is debugging, guys. This is QA and debugging before we actually make this go live. And that's interesting because it looks like it did not save. So if I remove this here, this is what we have to worry about too. Okay, so if I remove that, it didn't save it. So let's give it a thing here. So when I try removing the excerpt section and hitting update, it doesn't save. Can you make sure the edit blog post page saves all of the fields on update? So we want to make sure that these are getting changed, because right now it looks like it did not change that, and that's a problem. So what we're going to do is wait for it to fix that particular thing, and then we're going to also give it a screenshot of this particular section and make sure that it tries to use this cover image if this OG image is not set. It says, I see the issue now, the API before processing, when you send, so basically it sees that there's an error and it's finding the error. The fix is to always send the expert value even if it's empty, so the API can properly set it to null. Right, so basically what happened was when I removed this, it sent a null and it wasn't catching that that was null to clear that field. So now let's try that. And we delete that, we hit update, and now we go back here. And yes, it actually did that and it was able to remove that. So these are the type of debugging things you really have to think about when you are building a new feature. All right, so we got that. Let's go back to Claude. It was able to do that, and so what we're going to do is view your, and we're going to download this new Markdown document. Great. We're going to open that. Open. And we're going to go back to our downloads folder and we're going to open this. And what we're going to do is we're going to copy this. And we want one more. I just want one more to make sure everything is good before we go live. So what we're going to do is that. Let's go back to the top. We're going to say the infrastructure reality check. And we're going to do that. That looks good. Patrick Farrell plus Claude Code. Let's just remove this section because we have the header up here, and we're going to say publish. And now we're going to go here, and that looks pretty good. That looks a little strange here, so we got to think about that. So that doesn't look correct. And this is why it's important to really do a little bit of deep work here on making sure everything is correct. So we're going to go to drop table. All right, so this particular section, that actually is correct, I would say, where I put that in. I'm going to leave that for now because otherwise it's going to get confused. This looks good. That looks good. This is really nice, honestly. I'm very impressed with the build of this feature because this would have taken a lot of time, and this is very technical, the way that this is all built, but that's exactly my target audience. I want people to be able to build things because you're actually, when this gets done, I'll be able to create an API where someone can actually upload and automatically create blog posts with this platform. All right, so this looks good. We're good to go. The last piece was we really wanted to go back in and check that we're able, and we're just going to, without fully checking, what I want to do is we're going to copy this and say, I noticed that we have a cover image and an OG image. So this OG image is what gets shared when you share a link, let's say on iMessage, WhatsApp, whatever. We want to make sure that it defaults to the cover image if the OG image is not set. So I noticed that we have a cover image and an OG image. I want to validate and ensure that if the OG image is not set, but the cover image is set, that the OG image is included and defaulted as the cover image. Because I don't want to have people uploading this and that at the same time. This way we can allow them to upload an OG image, but they don't have to, and it defaults to the cover. I'm just gonna say yes. Like honestly, like I'm not even sure I need this, and it should just always pull from this cover image, but because it did it for now, I'm not necessarily gonna change it, and I'm gonna wait to see what happens and if I wanna remove this OG image in the future, because honestly it should always be that for a blog post. If the top image is that, it should just be that, because that's the first thing people are gonna see when they open it. But maybe there's a use case for it to have separate ones, and we're going to leave it for now. And yes, it's not defaulted that way, so we're going to wait for it to finish this. And while it does that, we're just going to go back and validate. But this looks really, really nice, guys. Like I'm very, very impressed with the amount of work that went in and the attention to detail. Like this would have taken a lot of work, and the cool thing about this is once I've got the code and I've done this once, I can reuse this code in other projects. I can reuse this code, and actually what I'm going to do, probably not today, but somewhere along the line over the next week or so, is I'm going to give each user of this platform their own blog so that they can do the same thing as if they were me, and they could have their own blog on the platform. There is a problem, and see that this thing just showed up, and I don't know why. So we're gonna give it this, and let's just refresh this page real quick so we make sure that that's still happening all the time. These are the kind of things you're gonna run into, especially when you're coding. You really become the designer and you become the debugger. It looks like that disappeared, so I'm okay with that right now. Let's just go back in and test, edit. Maybe that was just an artifact of it test or when it was coding. This looks good. Let's go back into this one. That looks good. All right, I think we're pretty good. Oh, we need to test the delete feature, so let's delete this, make sure that that gets deleted. That does get deleted. We have a blog, white paper, and we're pretty good. So I'm pretty happy with this. I'm going to end the video here, and we're going to do the next video where we show you how to actually deploy this out to the live server, and then I'll do another test on the live server so that we can start to create blog posts.